So, I just want to make this quick video. I know it's been a while. I've kind of just been on my grind lately. This is about left-hand path versus right-hand path. The markers, the identifiers. I'm sure a lot of you probably already know all of this, but have this just serve as kind of a refresher. So, if you are born into the left-hand path, and I just want to say the path that you're put onto isn't necessarily the path that you have to stay on, but a lot of people don't break free. Anyway, if you're born into the left-hand path, you were a gifted child, probably in multiple different areas, including athletics. You tested well. You probably didn't have any trouble making friends. It was easy for you to conform, to mask up. The programming, the European hypnosis that we all get put under, all races, but especially Europeans and indigenous people, you had no problem being programmed if you were a left-hand pather for whatever they wanted to use you for later in life. Conditioning worked on you, trauma-based mind control worked on you. It all just worked like a charm if you were born onto the left-hand path. Maybe you had a few breakdowns here and there, but nothing too concerning for your handlers. They were always able to reel you back in if you were born on the left-hand path. As you get older, doors are going to open for you if you're born onto the left-hand path. Door after door after door, to the point where it's not going to make sense to maybe some of your relatives and friends and people you know that you're probably going to call jealous. Because one thing about people on the left-hand path is they are raised to have very big egos and think very highly of themselves. That's part of the conditioning they get. They yearn for material possessions, money. These are the things that matter most to them in life. If you're born onto the left-hand path, you probably have a lot of earth in your birth chart. You probably have very little water. You might have like a few placements that don't really make you a water sign. But that's a whole other video. What else? Left-hand pathers are all about keeping up with the Joneses and putting out a certain image and doing whatever they have to do to create that image. And that means that anybody who does not fit that aesthetic or that image has to go. So they often just ghost people who did nothing wrong to them, and then those people probably, if they're not spiritually strong, they don't know about all of this. And believe me, there was a point where I really wasn't that tapped into all of this, so I can sympathize. But if you've been ghosted or treated poorly by a left-hand pather, you shouldn't take it personally. They just decided that you did not fit into whatever image they were trying to create for their life, and that's probably because you are a right-hand pather, or much more rare, you walk the line. You're not choosing a side, and they're not rocking with that either. Left-hand pathers stick with left-hand pathers unless they're a Satanist, and many of them are. I mean, that's kind of what the left-hand path is all about. It really is Satanism. It's centering yourself. But I kind of lost my train of thought, but these people are the world builders. And don't get me wrong, it's impressive how they can just trailblaze their way to the top of the pyramid, but it's a little bit sad when they kick people to the curb, like their parents who maybe they deem not successful enough for them. You see this a lot with celebrities. They just ditch their whole family once they make it. There's a Joyner Lucas, I think that's his name, song about this, where a left-hand path guy, well, him, is talking to someone from his past in the music video. I'll share it maybe on my community page. And they're going back and forth. And it's like a conversation between a left-hand pather and maybe what a lot of people would call like a sleepwalker. Somebody that didn't choose the left or the right, that kind of just wanted to mooch off of the left-hand pather, and they don't put up with that. They're going to make a real example out of you one way or another. They're going to make your life miserable. Just because that's kind of just their spirit. They're mean-spirited. So anybody from their past around who they can kind of dog, who isn't choosing a path, they're going to do it. They're going to call you jealous, bitter. That's why I don't really know if it's a good thing not to choose a path. We're in a dirty game. I'm not going to choose the left hand, that's for sure. Even if they're the ones with money and opportunities, I'm not going to choose the left hand because I don't vibe with that energy. It feels fraudulent to me. I was never easily programmed. So left-hand pathers have never really liked me, including the ones in my family, and that's okay. Some downsides about left-hand pathers that you've probably noticed is that because they mask up a lot and they have identity issues, that's why they're able to be programmed. Especially people of color who European hypnosis works on, and there's like pretty much like the majority of indigenous people in Hollywood is who I'm talking about right now. They're all left-hand pathers, but when that mask slips, we see the reality, which is a lot of drug addiction, sex addiction, alcoholism, mental health issues. So you could kind of call that selling your soul, right? If you're keeping up with the Joneses and you're putting one image out online about this jet-setting, flashy life you're living, but then when the mask slips, as we see with celebrities, oh, you're an addict. Oh, you have all these demonic attachments. And then you realize, oh, that's really nothing to be jealous of. But some people, they're like, I'll put up with that. And of course, DMX made a lot of music about this. I kind of think there's something to these indigenous celebrities that die young. I used to kind of be torn on it, but I think that a lot of them really do die. I think that a lot of it is the freedom train. I think their programming breaks. The European hypnosis slips. They're not capable of being reprogrammed like Prodigy from Mobb Deep. And yeah, it's pretty much a wrap on this life. Not to say they won't be back for another round and probably born onto the left-hand path again. A lot of these left-hand pathers, they don't realize that one of their missions in life is to break off of the egotistical, all about me, nobody else matters path especially if they've been through a bunch of trauma, then they really feel justified in centering themselves and F everybody else. Then there's really no talking to them. Then the Machiavellian personality is really set in stone for a lot of these people. So yeah, left-hand path, they have access, they have popularity, they have money. You'll see this more and more as we get into the fall. But before a build can fall, it has to get really bad. So that's kind of what you're seeing, and you're going to see that play out more. You shouldn't have any fear about it. You should never be sitting in the energy of fear. It's not productive. You shouldn't be sitting in the energy of paranoia. It's not productive. You should try to look at this all as the Most High, not all of these lesser gods that the left-hand pathers have invented. The Most High. You should just trust that the Most High is using the left hand and the right to push things forward, and you should look at it like that if you can. But they're popular, they have money, they have access, but they have mental health issues. They look down on everybody. If you don't have as much money as them, you're trash. If you don't live for materialism, you're trash. So a lot of these left-hand pathers, they delude themselves into thinking that they're godly, that they're chosen. I hate to break it to them, you're not chosen by the Most High. If you have a drug problem, if you're an alcoholic, if you have poor mental health, if you look down on others, that doesn't line up with the Most High's people at all. So if anyone like that on the left-hand path is talking God, you have to know that they're talking that one-eyed bastard, the God of this world. Right-hand path is the exact opposite. These were the hard-to-program ones, the misfits, the savants. They have a few areas where they're very skilled, but they're not easy to program across all fronts. When it came to conforming and rituals in K through 12, which is just about installing European hypnosis, it didn't work so well on these people. They were probably bullied. They were probably alienated if they weren't bullied. Gossiped about. Just call it like the Christ treatment. That's what you're given if you're on the right-hand path. If you have a lot of love. The right-hand pathers come in here with a lot of love, and left-hand pathers will sometimes even let this slip. I've heard a few people that I know on the left-hand path speak about a dead right-hand pather, how unusual it was that they were so loving. They just can't grasp that because that's not an emotion that they can easily tap into. They don't actually have the ability to love if they're on the left-hand path. They've never known true love. It wasn't a concern of theirs. So it's unusual to them, and sometimes they do let it slip in different ways that they think it makes you weird. And in a world like this that's so low on love, you can see why they would think that, because this world really isn't, especially at this current juncture, a loving place. Far from it, but they're programmed, so they'll never admit this. It'll just slip from time to time. Yeah, so the right-hand path, people are very loving. These are the ones that go out of their way to do things for others. They get spat on. They some of them get depressed, and that's different from the mental health issues that a left-hand pather deals with. Getting depressed because you're treated poorly, because you're spat on, because you're kicked when you're down, that's a lot different than being vexed, being spiritually vexed because you sold out and you decided that you were going to center yourself and that no one else mattered. It's a night and day difference. So they struggle with depression, but one thing about them is they continue to do loving acts, even in the face of their tribulation for it. They shine, and it makes the left-hand path people really uncomfortable. Again, they'd never admit that. I find all of this to be exhausting, and I can't wait for this whole build to crumble, just as every other European build that's ever existed in this realm has crumbled, because they do not control nature. It is not always man. Anyone on YouTube, like Zach, whatever, who breaks down the numbers of these events and tells you, oh, it's the Romans, it's Masonry. It's the left hand of God. And I believe a lot of them know it. They're not going to say it like that, though. They want you to believe it's all man. It's all man. All of this chaos, this abuse because that's what these mass trauma-based events are. I mean, it's abuse, but the Most High allows it to happen, because who at this time is truly righteous? The left-hand path people, they center themselves. The right-hand people, unfortunately, a lot of them can get into victim energy, and that's not productive. Either. Yeah, I've been there. You can be depressed. You can have your season of that, but you have to pull yourself out of it, and you have to look at it from above, analytically. Oh, this person is a left-hand pather. It has nothing to do with me. That's just their scripting. You have to look at it like that. Because if you don't, you'll end up feeling like there's something wrong with you. You'll get way too much into your head, and that's really no good. I feel like I'm rambling. It's been a while since I've made a video. I don't have a script or anything. These are just the things I think about. This is just kind of what I'm thinking about this morning. I do want to say that if you are on the left-hand path and you're into lesser gods, rejecting the existence of the Most High, different bickering truth cults, if you think that you can find the truth somewhere on YouTube where it's like a panel channel and everybody's arguing and insulting each other, everybody looks like they are some left-hand path ritual abuse survivor with a hatred for the Most High, with a drug problem. If you think you're going to find the truth there, then you're confused. The truth is not there. The truth is inside of you, or it's not. If the truth is not inside of you, then I would say that you're on the left-hand path, because they are made blind, most of them. You do have your awake and aware Satanists and Luciferians on the left hand, but the vast majority are just materialist. They don't have very many developed spiritual gifts. Not to say that they couldn't develop these gifts. I think that we all can. Well, maybe not all of us, because I don't believe that man is created equal. But I do think that the Most High can make anybody do the free guy thing and wake up. I do think that. when it comes to left-hand pathers, though, you just have to hand them to the Most High because He controls them anyway. And they're there to put you through the fire. Just look at it like that. They're there to put you through the fire. They're doing exactly what they're programmed to do. And you just need to obey those laws that so many people have a problem with. Repent. Another thing that a lot of people have a problem with, the idea of repenting. Keep your head down and just focus on not yourself, because that would put you on the left-hand path, but meditate on the promise of the Most High. That's what I'm doing. And I know that this is a very temporary build that is on its way down, not up. We're not in a golden age. We are on a free fall, and that's okay. That's ordained to happen. I welcome that. So if you're feeling lost, beat down by left-hand pathers, there has to be a reason for it. And it's only for you to figure out what that reason is. Nobody else can tell you why your life has been the way that it's been. You have to remember, okay? So do it. Get off of all of these cults. That's all they are. They're left-hand path cults, trying to trip you up, keep you distracted. It's a level that you have to, and then do you see this sink? I just said we're on a free fall, right? So Free Fallin' starts playing. That song has been following me around. I heard it the other day when I was grocery shopping. I accept any judgment that I am put under, and I recommend that you get on that same tip, because none of us are perfect, left hand or right. And there's a reason for all of this, whether we like it or not. And I know that sounds really different than some of what I used to say. And that's all just something that I have to repent for. So anyway, you guys, I hope you have a good day. And I'm really active on my Substack now, Chaos on the Western Front. I don't know if any of you have checked it out. I really prefer the written word a lot more than these videos, because like I said, I don't have a script and I feel like I get rambly and I go off in different directions. But I hope that you grasped the gist of this. Sorry, I kind of have the hiccups. I hope that you grasped the gist of this, and I hope that you have an amazing rest of your week.